because I think if people don't have a strong foundation of who they are and of their values, then fame and influence will crush them. So fame is not bad, right? That's why you see plenty of people who do good because they know who they are. They have great values. So when they're given a platform or influence or fame, they use it for good. But very often when we're young, or I know at least for myself, when I was young, you are still very much wanting to be validated. We want to be significant. And when social media gives us that significance and all that stuff and all all that stuff, then it starts becoming our significance, and it becomes like who we are is a very shaky self. So I think this whole process with social media perhaps also has been that of like what you do is not as important as who you're becoming. Do you feel like that's something that resonates with you as well?
Of course. I think you couldn't have said it any better. The idea of introspection, and not everyone is as lucky. I can definitely feel that way, because without being around other people who could be my echo chamber and to say like, hey, is this really what you want?
You got to slow down, man. You're just
slow down.
Yeah.
Like, is it worth it? I think not everyone ever gets that chance, and growing up is a very confusing thing. I don't want to be too presumptuous, but it's very difficult to find like your perfect group of friends, and it's very hard to find your perfect sense of self at a younger age. So everything that you see, that you feel, that you aspire towards is by and large a product of like the media you consume. I think about my time when I was a kid and just watching television, right? It's not like cable TV and stuff. We still had reality TV shows. And I'm very sure that some of it must have rubbed off on me. But they would be the equivalent of what an influencer is like today, right? At some level, at the very least. Maybe not as intimate, because now you can be glued to an influencer for like a good part of your day if you really wanted to consume their content. YouTube has an endless stream of played videos, These kind of things are difficult to navigate. And I don't blame, or I wouldn't say, hey kids, you need to know this now and get your shit together. It's not going to happen. In fact, it's more of when you have the time and when you start to gain some sensibilities, hold on to that. Learn how to look back and not jump the gun too quick. Don't follow herd mentality. I think these are simple, easy tricks that we can tell and impart to the younger audiences out there, that it's cool if you want to do the things that I do, but don't forget that you have a life of your own that is so separate from mine. Like, you are in control of your own destiny, and look at what you have, not what you want. Look at the things around you and ask yourself like the hard questions, not to be mean, because no one should ever want to be like someone else per se. Like, you don't need the stuff that I have. When I shared like some influencers and some of the really good American YouTube vloggers, they are actually very aware of these kind of things. So they tell their audiences like, hey, just because I have these things, it doesn't mean that I'm successful. I'm given these things to share, and it's marketing. Like, I only take sponsors who I can clearly say either A, I love the product, or B, they come to me and I tell them I will only accept it if I tell everyone this is pure marketing. Like that to me is responsibility. Responsibility is when you are transparent. You're not trying to put on airs about it. You're not trying to make yourself much bigger than you actually are, right? We have to show vulnerability. We have to show that we are human at the end of the day if we want to make social media a place in which more human interaction can occur. I'm not saying, we can't get rid of it. We definitely can't get rid of social media. But humanizing it is, I think, the next upgrade in our social media journey.
Yeah. I love what you're saying about transparency. And I think what comes to mind is authenticity, right? I think a lot of what makes us unhappy or what's toxic about social media is when something is not the truth, but it masquerades as the truth, or something that is, that is not the way. These things they don't appear the way that it actually seems. And so much about it would also be much better if, we were just more authentic with ourselves and with each other and with social media. Yeah.
That's a wonderful sentiment, lah. I don't claim to have all the solutions, and certainly I don't think anyone in this world does. Not even Mark Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
But
and actually, one thing you mentioned that was quite interesting was you talked about what you have versus what you want, right? And I think what a lot of times social media does is that it perpetuates desires of, oh wow, this influencer has that, which I don't, or that person has that, or that person in my circle has this and has gone to these places, but I haven't. And I think it's so important that we're just aware of how we're feeling and learn how to look at things in a more healthy way.
Yeah. And it's not just with like influencers, it's not about a young person looking at influencers and say, I want that. It's also between like your own social circles. For younger generations, you would post something and then you'd be like, man, my friend has that as well. Why don't I have those things? And if your friend is flexing really hard on it, it can, just as when you're in school and someone would bring some cool toy to play with, you'd be like, dang, I wish I had those things.
Yeah.
It's just that you're more closely connected now, because it's not just the few hours that we're in school together. It's everywhere. Before you go to sleep, those pictures are right next in your phone, and every kid has a phone now. Yeah. I find that some form of regulation might be helpful, but I'm not a parent yet, so I don't want to jump the gun on it either.
No, absolutely, yeah. I think self-regulation, and I think it starts with awareness, right? Because if you know what you're giving your attention to, like, do we even know how much media we're consuming on a weekly basis? A lot of times we are doing it very mindlessly or automatically, or, oh, I feel like watching this. And then one series becomes like the whole series, or becomes like 5 seasons, right? And yes. I think it's really just about being aware, being honest with ourselves, being honest with others. So that would really, really help.